My younger brother, Leo, enjoyed the thrill of holding his pee. He drank water constantly every day, yet he only relieved himself once every 5 or 6 days. Later, he even filmed himself releasing it all and sent the videos to a group chat for others to watch. I warned him that holding his urine for too long could easily rupture his bladder and that his mental health could also suffer. I started helping him book appointments with a psychologist to break this bad habit. My brother eventually recovered, married a beautiful and virtuous woman, had wonderful children, and lived a peaceful family life. But I never imagined he still resented me. So much so that on my birthday, he brutally stabbed me to death. It was all your fault. You stole the only pleasure I had in life, leaving me empty, lonely, and cold forever. When I opened my eyes, I was back on the day I first discovered my brother holding his pee. Leo walked out of the bathroom, clutching his belly, which was distended in a bizarre way. He grimaced in pain, looking utterly uncomfortable. His stomach was already so large, yet he gritted his teeth and chugged another glass of water. Gulp, gulp, the water went down. His belly became even tighter, and his expression grew more sinister. I stood by, watching it all with a cold gaze. Because I had been reincarnated, and in my previous life on this very day, I had uncovered my brother's little secret. Initially, seeing his swollen belly, my first reaction was worry. I rushed over to support him. "Leo, what's wrong? Are you sick?" Faced with my concern, Leo became flustered. "And no, I'm fine, Alice. You don't need to worry. I'm just a little constipated. Drinking plenty of water will help things move along." "How can you be fine? Your belly is so swollen. How long have you been holding it in?" "No, I'm taking you to the hospital." Hearing his words, I grew even more anxious. In my haste, I reached out and touched his stomach. Leo's belly was distended, and the sensation when I touched it was bizarre. It didn't feel like a human stomach at all, but more like a pig's bladder filled with water. I froze for a moment, then Leo pushed me to the ground, screaming at me, "What are you doing? Who gave you permission to touch me?" Mom heard the commotion and rushed out. Seeing Leo furious with me on the floor, she immediately sided with him without hesitation. She loudly scolded me, "Who told you to bully your brother?" I had 100 mouths but couldn't justify myself. I could only swallow my resentment. But for Leo's health, I still chose to buy him medication, probiotics, and enemas. Yet, to my surprise, Leo not only showed no gratitude, but his belly grew even larger. Only later did I discover that my brother wasn't constipated at all. He was simply enjoying the pleasure of holding his pee. He took pride in making his stomach distended, and his constant daily water intake wasn't to move things along, but merely to accumulate water in his belly. After discovering Leo's strange habit, he begged me not to tell our parents. I agreed. For Leo's future, I promptly found ways to help him rectify it. Not only did I monitor his bathroom breaks daily, but I also paid out of my own pocket to take him to a psychologist for counseling. I even bought him a gym membership and took him there every day to socialize with others. For Leo, I spent hundreds of thousands, dedicating all my energy to him. Because of this, I missed out on opportunities for promotion and salary increases. But heaven doesn't let down those who try. Thanks to my efforts, Leo eventually became a handsome, dashing, and ambitious young man. Later, he got into a top university, found a good job, and married a beautiful, gentle wife, living a happy life with a warm bed and devoted family. I genuinely believed I was the hero who saved his life. I thought he would be grateful to me forever, but I never imagined he would always harbor such hatred for me. It was all your fault. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have lived such a miserable and empty life. Die, you're the villain who stole my happiness. 15 years later, on my birthday, he furiously and brutally stabbed me to death. I couldn't even fight back. My body was pierced like a sieve. After it happened, everyone chose to cover for him. My father and mother personally cleaned up the scene, disposed of my brutally stabbed body, and had it hastily cremated. They told outsiders that I had died from a severe illness, never mentioning my brother's crime. And after my death, their family became harmonious and happy, as if nothing had ever happened. What I could never forget was my mother lamenting over my grave, "Don't hate your brother, my child. It's all your own doing. Who told you to be so controlling? You constantly bullied and suppressed him. He told me his life had no freedom, no joy, and it was all because of you. Accept your fate, and in your next life, don't meddle in other people's affairs." The pain of being murdered in my previous life was still vivid, but I had learned my lesson. Once bitten, twice shy. My mother was right. In my next life, I couldn't meddle in other people's affairs. I looked at my brother, clutching his stomach in pain, and a cruel smile played on my lips. If he loved the extreme pleasure of holding his pee so much, how could I not indulge his wish? "Leo, what's wrong? Are you sick?" I asked him, just like in my previous life. The only difference was that before, I worried about his health, but now I only wanted to watch his pathetic show. "And no, I'm fine, just constipated. Drinking plenty of water will help me out." He hid it just like before. I sneered inwardly. Drinking more water won't make it better. It'll probably only make it worse. "How can that be? Mom, come look, why is Leo's belly so swollen? He's not sick, is he?" I made my move first, shouting loudly. "What is it? What's wrong? What happened to Leo?" My mother immediately rushed out, her voice filled with panic. "Oh, my precious son, let Mom see what's bothering you." As soon as she heard her beloved son was unwell, my mother dashed out. At this point, Leo couldn't stop her. He could only stand there with a grim face as she thoroughly examined him. Seeing Leo's dark expression, my mother thought he was in great discomfort. She pressed his distended belly twice. "Ah." Leo winced, letting out an uncomfortable groan, and a sloshing sound came from his stomach. Seeing Leo's discomfort, my mother grew even more worried. "Oh my, what is this? Why is Leo's stomach full of water? He doesn't have ascites or some other illness, does he? Oh dear, we can't ignore this. Quick, Alice, go get the car. We're taking your brother to the hospital for a checkup." I said nothing, but Leo grew agitated. He quickly pushed my mother's hands away from his belly, protectively clutching it. "Mom, I'm fine. It's just constipation. Just cook something light for a few days and I'll be fine." Under my mother's suspicious gaze, Leo continued to lie. "How can that be, Leo? We still need to go to the hospital for a checkup so the doctor can prescribe some medicine. Only then can I be at ease, right?" My mother remained unconvinced, continuing to persuade him. "Mom, I'm really fine. I feel it now. I just need to go to the bathroom." In his desperation, Leo could only choose to rush into the bathroom, finally releasing all the urine he had painstakingly held for so long. After he finished, Leo's distended belly indeed flattened. My mother was greatly relieved, while Leo looked utterly blank. "Alice, you only have one brother. You must take good care of him. Leo is the hope of our Zhang family. Next time he's constipated, make sure you buy him medicine right away, all right?" My mother uneasily instructed me, essentially trying to manipulate me psychologically, finding every way to make me coddle my brother. In my previous life, it was precisely because I believed her devilish words that I buried my entire life. Did she think I was still that foolish after being reborn? I sneered inwardly, but my expression remained docile. "Don't worry, Mom. I will definitely be good to Leo. I will definitely take good care of him." I intentionally emphasized the words, "good care." My mother didn't catch the strangeness in my tone. She merely felt she had successfully brainwashed me. She nodded with satisfaction. My brother was seeking his own downfall. Naturally, he wouldn't abandon his peculiar habit over such a small incident. He still drank water and held his pee every day, but he was more careful, fearing discovery by me or Mom. He didn't just pretend to rush to the bathroom daily to fool others. He would slowly release only a portion, then abruptly stop and continue to hold it. This interrupted urination, with urine forced back, was incredibly uncomfortable. Initially, he couldn't control himself, even manually squeezing himself. This action not only contorted his face in pain, but also frequently caused urine to splash everywhere. During that time, my mother would always wonder when cleaning the bathroom, "What's going on? Why does the bathroom smell so bad? Is the toilet leaking?" Hearing her words, I couldn't help but roll my eyes. Leaking toilet. Clearly, her beloved son's stench had no limits. Gradually, Leo grew to love this sensation of stopping midway. He happily practiced it every day, but slowly he began to feel unsatisfied. He looked in the mirror like a pregnant woman, tenderly stroking his large belly with a look of serene contentment. I really love this bloated feeling. But he quickly felt it wasn't enough. He licked his lips with a hint of regret. "It's a shame I can only get this big. If only it could get even bigger, that would be wonderful." Ideally, as distended as a woman carrying twins for 10 months, struggling to walk, I can't imagine how exhilarating that would be. My brother's lewd and depraved demeanor was observed by me, every single detail. I deliberately went out to get a drink. My sudden appearance startled Leo. He yelped, then hastily pulled down his shirt. He looked at me warily, perhaps due to his haste, cold sweat beading on his forehead. "What's wrong, Leo?" I knew exactly what was wrong, but I deliberately asked to provoke him. "And nothing, you just startled me by suddenly appearing." He casually gave an excuse, then quickly ran back to his room. I held my glass of water, watching his panicked retreat, and a new plan formed in my mind. "Don't you want a bigger belly to accumulate more water? I'll help you with that." I immediately took out my phone and carefully selected a high-quality waist trainer. The seller even advertised that it could support 200 caddies, approximately 260 pounds of fat. To achieve my goal sooner, I deliberately paid an extra 20 yuan for express delivery. The faster, the better. The express delivery lived up to its reputation. The very next day, the waist trainer was delivered to me. I intentionally chose the moment Leo returned home from school to demonstrate the waist trainer's effectiveness in front of him. Oh my, this truly is the slimming and beauty treasure recommended by online influencers. It's so effective. The moment I put it on, my aura completely changed. My muffin top waist transformed into a wasp waist. Now I don't have to worry about overeating and getting a big belly anymore. They say it can hold 200 caddies of fat. No matter how big your stomach is, you won't have to fear. My exaggerated performance annoyed my mother. She irritably scolded me. "Enough, it's just a silly old waist trainer and you're praising it to the heavens. You look like a bear. Even if you wore a fairy's dress, you wouldn't turn into a goddess. You're as fat as a pig, yet you're putting on these acts. Such futile daydreams. If you have that money, you'd be better off spending it on your brother. Our Leo is handsome and has a future, not useless like you." Hearing her words, I couldn't help but curse inwardly. Don't worry, this thing is precisely for your beloved son. After all, it's my only brother's hobby. As his sister, how could I not enthusiastically support him? Seeing the yearning in Leo's eyes, I knew my plan was 100% successful. "Yes, Mom, I understand. I won't dare to spend money carelessly anymore." I feigned disappointment and took off the waist trainer. Under Leo's watchful gaze, I placed it on the chair in my room. That afternoon, to create an opportunity for Leo to steal the waist trainer, I deliberately made plans to go out with a friend. "Mom, I'm going out for a bit. I'll be back after dinner." When I returned to my room, sure enough, the waist trainer I had left on the chair was gone. I knew perfectly well who had taken it, but I pretended to be clueless, loudly exclaiming, "Mom, Leo, where's the waist trainer I left on the chair? I distinctly left it there. Why can't I find it? I have someone coming to pick it up tomorrow." Hearing my shouts, my mother and Leo both came to my room. My mother, with an impatient expression, snapped, "What are you yelling about? You just got home and you're already causing trouble. Who would want your shabby waist trainer? I wouldn't even use it as a rag, it's not absorbent enough. And your brother, don't even mention him. He's a boy, what would he need your tattered thing for? It's your fault for being so careless all the time that you can't even keep track of your belongings. How many times have I told you, put things away when you're not using them? You're completely unmanageable." "Really, Leo genuinely doesn't need this thing?" I looked at Leo with a meaningful glance. His slightly distended belly had become completely flat. This was, naturally, the effect of the waist trainer. I narrowed my eyes and voiced my suspicion. "Leo, why do I think you look thinner? Your stomach has shrunk a lot. Is your constipation gone?" Hearing my words, Leo awkwardly covered his flat belly, backing away. It's gone. It's all gone." My mother looked at me with disgust and rolled her eyes. "Do you think your brother is as useless as you? My son is disciplined and handsome, not like you. You're all fat, no one wants you. What time is it? Who has time to care about your shabby thing? Leo, ignore her. Let's go back to our room." Leo obediently followed my mother, leaving my room. I watched their retreating backs, a triumphant smile on my face. "Indeed, your son is very disciplined, isn't he? He steadfastly drinks dozens of glasses of water every day, holding a belly full of urine. Normal people truly couldn't keep that up." After acquiring his treasure, the waist trainer, Leo's habit became even more uninhibited. He drank more water than before, but his frequency of urination decreased steadily. From my observation, initially he couldn't hold it, having to go at least twice a day, then once a day. His belly grew larger and larger, yet he still felt unsatisfied, craving more extreme pleasure. Especially after getting the waist trainer, he no longer had to worry about his little secret being discovered. The sensation of being tightly compressed by the trainer also enthralled him even more. Releasing even a single drop of water from his belly felt like a profound loss to him. By now, he could manage to go 2 full days before finally releasing it, just to savor the feeling. Not only that, but his behavior also grew stranger. Every time he began to relieve himself, he would place a phone in front of him, recording the entire process from start to finish. Afterward, he would send the video to a large group chat with hundreds of people for their enjoyment, wishing to warm the water. "Gentlemen, please enjoy." Leo held it for 3 days this time. It was truly super enjoyable. Then, countless people in the group began replying to him with content that was utterly unacceptable. These people were all part of the same clique as my brother. In my previous life, upon seeing these things, I felt my world collapse. I couldn't believe my bright and handsome brother could be complicit with such people. I confronted him, exposed his little secret, and forcefully removed him from those chaotic group chats, forbidding him from associating with them anymore. I poured all my energy into criticizing and educating him, trying to mold him into a normal person. But in this life, I chose to stand by and fan the flames. I wanted to see how this brother, who once hated me, blamed me, and accused me of stealing his freedom and joy, would ultimately enjoy his happy life. Seeing those people praise him, Leo felt even happier, became more strict with himself, and his behavior grew even more unacceptable. One day after work, I witnessed a scene that would haunt me forever. My brother was nearly naked, wrapped in several red ropes, and his belly was unbelievably distended, just like a pregnant woman about to give birth even more, like she was carrying twins. I was wondering how he could have consumed so much water when I discovered a secret on his body. It turned out that only one mouth wasn't enough to drink water. Leo was performing very seriously in front of the camera, completely oblivious to my return, and I just silently watched him indulge in his self-degradation for over 10 minutes. During this time, my brother's actions were so repulsive that I wanted to gouge out my own eyes. After writhing for a long time, Leo finally noticed me standing by the door. He frantically jumped up, wrapped a blanket around himself, and stared at me with a horrified expression. His face was flushed crimson like a boiled shrimp, looking as if blood might ooze from it. With a thud, Leo decisively knelt on the ground, pleading with me, "W, when did you get back? Can you pretend you didn't see anything? Please don't tell Mom and Dad. Alice, how long has this behavior been going on? Mom and Dad will kill you if they find out." I feigned a difficult expression. "No way, Mom and Dad love me the most. They won't hit me, Alice. If you tell them, they'll definitely get angry. If you make them sick with anger, you'll be the sinner." As soon as our parents were mentioned, Leo lost all fear, even beginning to threaten me. I sneered inwardly. I knew perfectly well how biased our parents were, but it didn't matter. I had no intention of fixing him anyway. The more degraded he became, the more despicable, the more satisfied and delighted I felt. I nodded, agreeing to his request. "All right then, you're an adult now. This is your freedom. I respect your choices." Hearing my agreement, Leo was overjoyed. "That's great. I knew my sister was the best in the world." Even without my interference in this life, Leo's bizarre habit was still discovered. The one who noticed his peculiar behavior was his homeroom teacher. The teacher found that Leo was extremely unfocused in his studies, mostly keeping his head down. Not only that, but he also constantly clutched his belly, uncomfortably rubbing his lower body against the chair. Initially, the teacher thought he had hemorrhoids, calling him to the office multiple times, advising him not to be shy, and to promptly see a doctor if he wasn't feeling well, even recommending ointment. Leo obediently nodded in agreement each time, but despite agreeing, his behavior not only didn't subside but became increasingly excessive. Leo's deskmate frequently heard strange noises, along with Leo's panting. Most unacceptably, strange yellow stains began appearing under Leo's seat, and the entire classroom started to smell faintly of urine. Initially, the teacher didn't suspect Leo, thinking it was just some young boys in the class neglecting hygiene, or someone accidentally stepping in a puddle of urine. Gradually, they finally realized something was amiss and decided to call the parents to intervene in Leo's behavior. "Mrs. Zhang, Leo's behavior is very peculiar. I'm afraid he might have picked up some unhealthy habits. I hope the family can intervene promptly. It's normal for young boys to be curious, but as parents, you can't just indulge him like this. The homeroom teacher spoke softly. After all, having such a student in class, even she felt ashamed and found it difficult to speak openly. Who knew my mother would fly into a rage? She screamed loudly, her voice so strong it could be heard throughout the entire floor. Who are you calling depraved? Our Leo is handsome and intelligent. How could he do such an indecent thing? What kind of teacher are you? Do you have any proof that our Leo did it? I think someone is playing a trick, perhaps urinating in my son's seat. As a teacher, instead of dealing with it properly, you come here to slander my son. Do you believe I won't file a complaint against you? Under her shouts, almost the entire building heard about it. Just arguing wasn't enough. She refused to let go, dragging the teacher to the surveillance room to watch the cameras, determined to clear her son's name. What was originally a small matter confined to the office had now become a scandal known throughout the entire school. In less than an hour, everyone at school started whispering about my brother. It's hilarious, his mother even wanted to watch the security footage and accuse the teacher. Where does she get the nerve? Doesn't she have any basic awareness about her own son? You don't know the half of it. Liu Zhang has started openly dating. Quite a few strong guys and gym students at school have been seduced by him. Oh my, is it that hot? Is there a group chat? I want to see too. How morally corrupt. To dare do such things at school, he's truly audacious. Hearing that my mother wanted to see the security footage, Leo turned pale with fear. He quickly stopped my mother, telling her that they were all just classmates and he didn't want to make a fuss. My mother, still thinking her good son was simply too kind-hearted, pulled him close with a pained expression. Leo, you're good at everything, except you're too kind. Don't worry, Mom will definitely get justice for you today. No one bullies my son? My mother's face was righteous and resolute. Leo, conversely, was flushed crimson. Seeing that my mother disregarded his attempts to stop her and was determined to watch the camera footage, he no longer cared about anything else. Mom, stop it. It was me. It has nothing to do with anyone else. He admitted it decisively. This time, it was my mother's turn to be bewildered. She stood frozen in place, her voice trembling as she asked him, "What? It was you, son. Did they force you?" My mother still refused to believe it. After all, in her heart, her beloved son was perfect. How could he be the kind of person who self-degrades like this? It's a small illness, Mom. I couldn't control myself. It was all me. Stop asking. Hearing this news, my mother completely froze. Just moments ago, she had been aggressive. Now, she was merely a laughingstock. She staggered, dragging Leo home, weeping as she called my father. "Husband, come home quickly. Our son seems to be unwell." My father, on a business trip elsewhere, heard this and was utterly confused, having no idea what had happened. "What nonsense are you talking about? What's wrong?" My mother could only then recount the entire incident at school to my father. Upon hearing the news, my father dropped his work and rushed home that very night. After returning, his face was gloomy. He ransacked Leo's room. If he hadn't searched, it would have been fine, but one search was enough to shock him. My father pulled out all sorts of bizarrely shaped toys from Leo's room. Those toys widened his eyes, almost making them pop out. There were round ones, long ones, some as small as a pinky finger, others as large as an adult man's, some smooth, some covered in thorns. Besides these small toys, my mother made another shocking discovery. The waist trainer I had lost, her increasingly scarce clothes hangers, and even cucumbers she'd clearly bought 4, but only 3 remained when she wanted to eat them. Wrinkled tomatoes covered in strange liquids were all found in Leo's room. My father, who highly valued his reputation, felt his world collapse upon seeing these things. He knelt down, ordering, "Confess honestly, when did you pick up these bad habits?" Leo knelt on the floor, weeping and pleading with our parents. "Mom, Dad, I was wrong. I won't dare to do it again. I was just curious. I saw some movies on Alice's computer before, and I was curious, so I wanted to try. I won't dare to do it again." Hearing his words, my parents immediately turned their uncontrollable anger towards me. "Alice Zhang, so it was all your doing, you good-for-nothing?" They glared at me furiously, their faces twisted with such hatred, they looked like they wanted to flay me alive. I raised an eyebrow, looking at my brother kneeling on the ground, his face full of triumph. I hadn't expected him to still dare to blame me at this point, but it was fine. I could make his death even more tragic. I took out my laptop, fearlessly allowing them to inspect it. My parents searched through all my folders and browsing history but found no strange movies that Leo had mentioned. Instead, they discovered something else. The video had no name, but just by looking at the small thumbnail, one could see pale, fleshy skin. Seeing this video, Leo's eyes lit up. He immediately pointed at it, loudly exclaiming, "Mom, Dad, this is the video. It's all because of this video. I went astray because of it." My father's face turned utterly dark. "Alice Zhang, you wicked woman, do you have anything left to deny? If you hadn't neglected your studies and saved this kind of video, how could your brother have become like this? It's all your fault that my Leo became this way." Despite their furious curses, I remained perfectly calm. "Mom, Dad, why don't you watch the video first before you speak?" My father, suspicious, opened the video. The content within utterly devastated them. The video emitted Leo's suppressed groans, and the content was, naturally, the scene from that day, Leo writhing in front of the phone. "Oh my God, what karma have I created? Why has my good son become like this?" My mother directly collapsed, unable to stand, falling to the ground and sobbing uncontrollably. My father's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. Leo hastily scrambled up and turned off the video, incredulously yelling at me, "How could this be? Why did you film me that day? You did it on purpose. You deliberately set out to harm me, didn't you?" Of course, I did it on purpose. Heaven knows how long I've waited for this day. I pretended to be heartbroken, trying to force out 2 tears. "How can you think of me like that? I just thought of showing this video to a professional psychologist. I wanted to save you." Hearing my words, my father's eyes flickered with hope. "Alice, are you telling the truth? Can your brother really still be saved?" "Dad, Leo's situation is a bit complicated. The doctor said it mainly depends on you 2 parents. As long as you manage him strictly, he can be corrected quickly. It's mainly due to your excessive indulgence." I slowly guided them. My father was initially half convinced, half doubtful, but hearing that his son still had hope, he became determined. He told my mother to arrange a leave of absence from school for Leo. He also took 2 months off from work. So the 2 of them stayed home all day, watching over Leo, not allowing him to go out or even leave their sight. Even when Leo went to the bathroom, my father had to follow him. Afterward, he even had to check if he had actually peed. They also wanted me to participate, asking me to take Leo to a psychologist, but with the experience from my previous life, how could I agree? "Mom, Dad, who would be so shameless? How could such a matter be known to outsiders? My brother still has to get married later, you know." My father found my words reasonable and managed Leo even more strictly, declaring that if he wasn't corrected, he wouldn't be allowed out for a single day. Under such management, Leo quickly couldn't bear it. He secretly begged me, "Alice, please help me. I can't take it anymore. I really can't take it anymore. My body feels like it's being bitten by ants every day. It's so uncomfortable." I feigned a conflicted frown. "Leo, don't be like that. Mom and Dad are just concerned about you." After I refused, Leo's expression immediately changed. He pushed me. "I knew it, you're all in it together. You don't want to see me happy. You want to steal my freedom to pursue happiness." Seeing his demeanor, I hastily advised him, "Leo, you can't be like this. There's still hope for your life. As long as you correct yourself, Mom and Dad will definitely let you out." I deliberately emphasized the words, "correct yourself." Leo didn't disappoint me. He understood immediately. Correct myself. He pondered thoughtfully, while I couldn't help but secretly rejoice. Degrade yourself, the more degraded the better. From that day on, Leo no longer resisted. He was very obedient every day. He told my father, "Dad, don't worry, I've thought it through. I'll correct myself and won't reoffend in the future." My father initially didn't believe him, but as Leo became more cooperative, he gradually lowered his guard. A month later, Leo was released. Seeing him become optimistic and upbeat again, our parents were overjoyed. Only I knew it was all a facade, a disguise put on by Leo. Like a dog that can't stop eating its own feces. After having tasted those pleasures, Leo could never go back to his old self. After Leo was released, my father still uneasily observed him for a few days. Finally, he found that Leo had returned to normal and confidently went back to work. But as soon as my father left, Leo revealed his true colors. Perhaps because he had been suppressed for too long, this time Leo was even more outrageous. He even stopped fearing my mother. In front of her, he wore heavy makeup and even clothes that were unfit for public. My mother cried until her eyes were swollen because of it. "Son, didn't you say you'd corrected yourself? How can you be like this? Your father." Hearing my mother about to tell on him again, Leo immediately became furious. He threatened my mother, "Mom, if you tell Dad, either he dies of anger or I kill myself. You choose." Leo's threat was very effective. My mother could only tremble and agree, not daring to utter a single word. Even when she called my father and he inquired, she could only cover for him. Under my mother's indulgence, Leo's behavior became even more audacious. He went online and found an old man in the same city to be his master. From then on, Leo stopped going to school, spending all day on video calls with the old man, following his commands to do all sorts of indecent things. Initially, it was still as before, just writhing in front of the camera, filming some inappropriate videos. Then they felt it wasn't stimulating enough and started going outside. The hallways, flower beds in the apartment complex, even other people's doorsteps and rooftops became Leo's playgrounds. The neighbors in the apartment complex gradually saw Leo's true colors. Occasionally catching him in indecent acts, they all wished they were blind. It was truly scandalous. In broad daylight, doing such things in public areas of the apartment complex, it's just too unsightly. You're right. Yesterday, I went up to the rooftop to hang laundry. Do you know what I saw? That kid was completely naked, wearing a dog collar around his neck, crawling on the ground. The sounds he was making, truly unbearable. This old face of mine feels ashamed for him. I don't know what kind of education his family gives him to raise such a son. A family misfortune? It truly is a family misfortune. If I were his parents, I'd rather stab him to death than leave him in this world as an eyesore. Under such rumors, everyone in the apartment complex successively avoided our family, even refusing to speak to my mother. My mother also felt ashamed. Every time she went out to buy groceries, she just wanted to cover her face. Whenever she saw others' lips moving, she felt they were whispering about my brother's affairs. But as the main character, my brother's face grew thicker and thicker. He felt no shame at all. He even brought the old man home. In front of my mother, they were overly intimate. "Sir, please use me as you wish." My mother trembled with rage, her fingers clenched so tightly they turned white, yet she couldn't bring herself to say a single no to Leo. Just like that, Leo brought the old man into his room, and sounds of their activities echoed day and night. My mother couldn't sleep a wink listening to those sounds all night. After they left, my mother opened Leo's room. This time, she couldn't even stand steadily. The room was scattered with used toys, and a disgusting stench permeated the air. What made it even more unacceptable was that on the floor there were also ginger, strawberries, and grapes, all crushed. "What is this? What is all of this?" My mother collapsed to the ground, muttering in anguish, while I stood by, unable to help but roll my eyes. What else could it be? Just the blender your precious son discarded, of course. The truth proved that my mother's indulgence only made him more outrageous. To please the old man further, he had dazzling silver piercings on various parts of his body, and to pursue the ultimate sensation of exhilaration, his belly grew even larger. I happened to overhear him bragging in the group to others that his belly contained several thousand cubic centimeters of water. But his happy life didn't last long. His body began to develop all sorts of problems. The first to collapse was his bladder. The time he could hold his urine became shorter and shorter. Initially, he thought he wasn't trying hard enough and managed himself even more strictly, but then things spiraled increasingly out of his control. He began to lose control, leaking urine like a broken bag. His bladder, due to prolonged holding, had always been under strain, gradually losing its elasticity. Its contractions became weaker and weaker, eventually collapsing completely. Leo couldn't control himself, every day like a crippled person, leaking urine. At first, he could still comfort himself, thinking it was fine that he could use other things to help him control it. But very quickly, he could no longer smile. He started urinating blood, even becoming completely unable to urinate at all. His belly swelled higher and higher, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't release a single drop. He began to panic. To urinate successfully, he even pressed hard on his own stomach. Pop! His belly couldn't withstand the pressure of his bladder and actually burst open. His lower body continuously bled, while his belly remained highly distended. Without the bladder containing it, the remaining urine flowed into his abdominal cavity. Leo was in unbearable abdominal pain, his entire body trembling. At this moment, he finally knew fear. "Help, help me, I'm done for." He used all his strength to call for help from me and my mother. "What do we do now? Alice, what about your brother?" My mother was also terrified and anxious, wanting to touch Leo but not daring to. "That's right, 115, call 115 quickly." "Leo, hold on a little longer." "Mom is calling 115 to save you." By the time the ambulance arrived, Leo had already fainted from the pain. At the hospital, the doctor examined him. After the examination, the doctor could only shake his head helplessly. "It's no good. The damage is too severe. It's not just a ruptured bladder. He held his urine for too long and also used all sorts of unclean objects, which caused infection in his urethra and bladder. He didn't take it seriously, and now it has led to cancer. We must immediately remove his bladder and urethra, otherwise, his life will be in danger. Family, please sign the consent form for surgery immediately." Hearing the doctor's words, my mother was incessantly worried. "Remove his bladder? How can that be? Won't my son be crippled for the rest of his life then? Doctor, isn't there another way? We can't remove it. My son still has to get married and have a wife." The doctor was also very helpless. "If only you had known this today, why didn't you intervene sooner? This is the last resort. If we don't remove it, your son's life won't be saved." Only upon hearing that Leo was about to die did my mother finally sign the consent form, agreeing to his surgery. My mother no longer dared to hide it from my father and quickly informed him of the grim news. Upon hearing it, my father hastily bought a plane ticket and flew back. Slap! The moment he saw her, my father slapped my mother hard across the face. "You useless woman, I told you to watch over our son carefully, and you ended up watching him straight into the hospital." My mother clutched her swollen, red face, feeling deeply wronged but not daring to say anything. But what was done. No matter how angry my father was, it couldn't be undone. The surgery lasted 4 hours. From then on, Leo became a person who had to rely on a catheter even to urinate, a true eunuch. Leo woke up and completely collapsed upon seeing his crippled body. "How could this happen? How could this happen?" Leo questioned in despair. Seeing his son in such a state, my father couldn't bear to scold him anymore. He could only patiently console him, urging him to look forward. Leo, after losing his joy, languished for a while, staying home all day, waiting for my mother to serve him hand and foot. My parents had thought that after this great ordeal, he would show some remorse, but to their surprise, he still didn't turn back. He discovered the marvel of his current body, becoming even more shameless. There's a blessing in this disaster. Such a body also has its advantages. This way, I can not only enjoy the pleasures of men, but also find joy in being a woman. From then on, he began a life of not coming home at night, spending all his days outside indulging in debauchery, destroying his own body. Initially, my father still tried to discipline him, but then he realized his precious son had fallen into depravity and could only give up. At this point, they remembered me. "Alice, you only have one brother, you can't just ignore him." My father even had the audacity to tell me to quickly find a rich man to marry, take the hundreds of thousands in dowry money, and later use it to fix Leo's body. After getting married and having a son, I was to give him to Leo so he could raise him and carry on the family name. Naturally, I couldn't possibly agree to help him. They didn't know that after my reincarnation, I had already prepared to escape this family. While Leo was out chasing pleasures everywhere, destroying his body, I was diligently working. Now, I was highly valued by my superiors. In 3 months, I would be transferred to the overseas headquarters. This time, I would never return. After the surgery, Leo knew he had no hope of marriage or children in the future. He decided to enjoy himself while he could. He played harder and harder, until one day, my father received a trembling call from the old man. He said, "Your brother seems to be in trouble." Under their unrestrained indulgence, both orifices of Leo's lower body tore, resulting in hemorrhage. The same hospital, the same doctor. During surgery, the doctor removed 2 extremely large rods from Leo's orifices. This time, Leo's situation was even more critical. The doctor said Leo's entire lower body was paralyzed. From his spine downwards, his nerves had developed complications. It seemed Leo would spend the rest of his life bedridden. By now, my parents were completely numb. They thought no matter what else happened, they wouldn't be surprised. But very quickly, new grim news arrived. While Leo was recovering in the hospital, several men he had associated with were rounded up by the police in a prostitution raid. Tests showed that out of 15 men, 14 were HIV positive. Knowing this, my father hastily took Leo for testing. Positive. This time, the already shattered family completely collapsed. Very quickly, Leo's lower body became covered in genital warts, festering and oozing pus. My mother and father, who had always cared for him, also couldn't escape. Very soon, they too began to experience itching and oozing pus. Terrified, they called me, trying to trick me into coming back to care for Leo. Little did they know I was already on a plane flying to Sweden. Come back quickly. Leo is your biological brother. If you don't care, who will? My father ordered me as if it were a matter of course, completely oblivious to anything being wrong. But the Alice of today would no longer obey his commands. I'm sorry, but you too can keep your precious son. I resolutely hung up the phone, not waiting for their reaction. I asked the flight attendant for a blanket and lay down to sleep. I heard news about my brother again 3 years later. That day, I was celebrating the completion of a major project when I received a long-distance call from my hometown. Hello, is this Ms. Alice Zhang? We are the police from the city's Public Security Bureau. Your brother, Leo Zhang, has killed your father, and your mother has also been severely stabbed and disabled by him. Please return to see for yourself. Upon hearing this news, I immediately set off to return to my home country. For no other reason than to witness their ultimate fate with my own eyes. After returning, I went straight to the police station. The police led me to view my father's body. His corpse was just like mine in my previous life, brutally mutilated. Not a single piece of intact flesh could be found. Looking at my father's body, I felt no sorrow at all. Instead, it was a feeling of triumphant satisfaction that my great revenge had been exacted. After all, in his previous life, he had been just as cold. Watching his precious son stab me to death without shedding a single tear, I calmly signed the next of kin identification form and then went to meet my brother. When I saw him, I couldn't help but want to laugh out loud. Over the years, he had been tormented by all kinds of diseases and complications to the point of being unrecognizable. His face was ashen, his features sunken, and his entire body was covered in sores. In my opinion, he wasn't much better off than my father's brutally mutilated corpse. The moment he saw me, Leo became extremely agitated. He gnashed his teeth, glaring at me, using his last ounce of strength to scream. Why? Why did everything turn out differently? I shouldn't be like this. I was a graduate student, I was an admired CEO, I had a beautiful wife and an obedient son. I was the perfect child everyone envied. I shouldn't be like this. What did you do? Oh, he reincarnated too. It just seems a bit late. Now he can't change anything anymore. I curled my lips into a cruel smile. Isn't everything you've experienced in this life what you yearned for but couldn't have in your previous life? I've fulfilled your desires. What more could you be dissatisfied with? Leo Zhang, you're wrong. This is your true destiny. It's just that in my previous life, I was willing to be a fool and meddle in other people's affairs. Don't worry, since you used blood to teach me that one shouldn't interfere in others' lives, I will definitely listen. I will give you freedom, so you can reap what you sow. Hearing my words, Leo Zhang was filled with immense regret. Alice, you must know how to restart life, right? Teach me. I can't be like this. I shouldn't be like this. Don't worry, I've killed them all. They don't deserve to be parents. I've punished them already. Alice, please help me one more time, please. Now he placed all his hope in me, still deluding himself that his life could be reset. To this, I only wanted to say, dream on. I walked out of the police station without looking back, ignoring Leo Zhang's hoarse screams. Before I even got into the car, I received news that Leo Zhang had passed away. I felt a sense of regret about this. How I had hoped he could be tormented by his illnesses a little longer, but at least all I had to do was sign another identification form. Leaving the police station, I then went to the hospital to visit my mother, who had also been stabbed countless times. She was now lying in the ICU, kept alive only by a ventilator. The doctor saw me arrive and wanted to discuss her next course of treatment. I shook my head, gently saying, "Pull the plug." The doctor was stunned for a moment, then agreed. After all, in her current state, my mother truly had no reason to live anymore. Having settled everything here, I returned to Sweden, never to come back. From then on, I escaped the shadow of this family. My life became bright and clear. The end.